Hi guys, Ron from Ronald Rohde Law, and today I want to talk about this new CDC eviction moratorium. You know, they just announced this new rule suspending evictions again, and I think it's really important. A lot of the language is similar, but it is heightened for a little bit more focused on the hardest hit for the Delta variant of COVID-19. Practically, that's all major counties. It's not going to uh, really be much of a narrow. However, if you look at the order, they are following some traditional legal advice, and I know that a lawyer told them to write this because they said that it's narrowly tailored and it's trying to be the least restrictive means on specifically the hardest hit areas. And what they're doing is new legal arguments for themselves. However, that's really not their point. You know, it's going to take weeks, if not months. And again, that this order through October 3rd, it's going to be null and void. It's going to be a moot legal issue by the time this actually gets heard, something on a national level. And so I think as a residential landlord, you really have to learn from this, and we can see how it's been extended for such a long period of time, right? 12 months. From something that we thought was initially, it was temporary, and now it's extending into something which may start to become kind of this federal or national tenant protection or eviction protection laws. And so you as a residential investor, you really need to learn how to adapt. How do you pivot your investment business or your thesis in light of all of these changes that the government has shown they're really willing to go out there? And for my clients in Texas, where we're doing evictions, we still have a ton of different tools at our disposal. So we're looking at the 4 exceptions. I know a lot of our tenants are also doing month-to-month leases. And so as a result, you may be only doing very short leases because the rental market in Dallas and in DFW is very hot right now. And so maybe you don't mind the risk of a tenant leaving after a short stay because you can always replace them because there's a lot of tenants to fill that demand. So that's one option. Definitely recommend putting your tenants on something like that because you can evict for a holdover. Some of the other categories are a little bit harder, but overall, you know, you really have to consider, what does a eviction mean or a non-paying tenant mean for me as an investor? How can I survive if I have to make my mortgage payments? You got to pay your property taxes, you've got to pay utilities, whatever else is included. Landlords, you guys still have expenses even if the tenant isn't paying. Now, that's certainly something to consider. And when you're looking at leverage, don't over leverage yourself so you have too many expenses that you can't cover if a tenant stops paying rent. Onto a second issue, and that is rent relief. So a lot of our clients have been applying. There's a Texas rent relief program. There's a variety of rent relief programs paying partial or all of rent, back rent, up to sometimes 2 months of future rent. So there's a lot of these programs. One of the questions that we get a lot is, if I apply for rental assistance or my tenant applies for rental assistance and I receive some of those funds, can I still evict? And the answer is yes. There has been some cases where we've gotten future rent for our clients, and then they decide they want it, for whatever reason, they want to evict next month anyway. We just have to return those funds. We do an accounting and we return the funds, and then we proceed with the eviction. So that's something that is definitely possible. You have to read the agreement that you sign with the rent relief program, but that is a clause that you can still evict, file for eviction and evict if you return those funds. So that's something to consider. It's another option. But ultimately, as a residential investor, what I think is more of the long-term solution, really. So, sorry, I got a little bit cut off there, lost signal. What is really the long-term solution is placing tenants and the amount of rent that they can pay into a situation either with roommates or a smaller unit or a cheaper unit. And the sooner that you can match the tenant with the rental payment, everybody's going to be happier. That's it for now. It's just a quick video. I'm going to post a longer one on YouTube, but those are my thoughts, and reach out in the comments if you have any questions. Thanks, guys.